More than 2,000 years ago, long before planes, cars, or even precise maps, Greek travelers moved between distant lands on horseback and in wind-driven sailboats. They crossed the Mediterranean with salt on their lips and stories in their pockets, and they wrote down everything: cities, kings, wars, and the breathtaking things that made them stop mid-sentence. Some human creations looked so impossible, so perfectly ambitious, that they felt less like architecture and more like a challenge thrown at the gods themselves. Over time, these travelers began to collect lists of the greatest sights they had ever witnessed, things you must see before you die. In Greek, they called them diamata, must-see wonders. Later, the word shifted into thaumata, marvels, things that stun the mind into silence. And why 7? Because for the ancient Greeks, 7 symbolized completeness. 7 days, 7 known planets, 7 principal gods on Olympus. A perfect number for a perfect list. Tonight, we travel across centuries to visit those 7 wonders, one by one. We'll see how they were built, who built them, why they rose, and why they fell. Only one still stands today. The other 6 were swallowed by earthquakes, fire, war, and sometimes by human hands. 7 wonders, 7 stories, one night you won't forget. On the west bank of the Nile, on a raised limestone plateau, stands the oldest and arguably the greatest structure the human species ever lifted from stone, the Great Pyramid of Giza. It is the only wonder of the ancient world that still stands. It's been standing for 4,500 years. Built long before the birth of Moses by roughly 1,000 years, long before Rome was founded by roughly 2,000 years, long before the birth of Christ by about 2,500 years. When Greek travelers were writing their lists of wonders, the pyramid was already ancient, so old that even they viewed it like we view something from a civilization lost in myth. But who built it, and why? The story begins with a pharaoh named Khufu, the second ruler of Egypt's 4th dynasty, what historians call the Age of the Pyramids. Khufu's father, Sneferu, was the first to successfully build a true smooth-sided pyramid instead of a stepped one. But he didn't succeed on the first try. Sneferu experimented 3 major attempts before finally getting it right. When Sneferu died and Khufu took the throne, Khufu inherited experience, wealth, and the kind of ambition that refuses to stay small. He chose the Giza Plateau, solid bedrock capable of carrying unimaginable weight, and he ordered a project that would dwarf anything the world had seen. The numbers still sound insane, even today. The original height, 147 meters, about a 50-story building. The base, a perfect square, each side about 230 meters long. Total weight, nearly 6 million tons of stone. Stones used, about 2.3 million blocks. Average weight per block, around 2.5 tons, with some blocks reaching 80 tons, the weight of 10 heavy trucks in a single stone. No cranes, no engines, no electricity. So how did they do it? For centuries, people believed the pyramids were built by slaves, whips, chains, and suffering. That idea came largely from the Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt about 2,000 years after the pyramid was built. But modern archaeology proved the story wrong. In 1990, archaeologists discovered workers' tombs near the pyramids themselves. Their burial sites were carefully built, too close, too respected, too dignified for slaves. Skeletal remains showed men and women, and some bones carried signs of medical treatment. Slaves aren't treated, they're replaced. The truth we now understand is far more impressive. The pyramid was built by Egyptian workers, farmers, skilled laborers, craftsmen, who came during the Nile's flood season, when their fields were underwater and they couldn't farm. The state fed them, housed them, and paid them to work for about 3 months each year. And then one discovery changed everything. In 2013, a French team led by archaeologist Pierre Tallet found caves at a Red Sea site called Wadi al-Jarf. Inside were ancient papyri, the oldest known written documents found in Egypt. Among them was something astonishing: the diary of a man named Mera. Mera was an overseer of a team transporting limestone. He wrote in detail about hauling the fine white Tura limestone from quarries to the pyramid site. He described boats, canals, crew names, even food allocations. For the first time, we had a direct witness. Words written by someone who actually participated in building the Great Pyramid. Mera recorded that the blocks traveled by boat along the Nile and through a special canal reaching the site, connected to a harbor system sometimes referred to as the Lake of Khufu. The whole operation was supervised with extraordinary organization, including a high official named Ankhaf, Khufu's half-brother. It wasn't chaos. It was a giant, coordinated machine. Teams for cutting stone, teams for transport, teams for lifting and placement. Every crew had a name, a foreman, and daily quotas, like a modern mega construction company, 4,500 years ago. But the biggest mystery remains: how did they lift the stones so high? The most accepted explanation involves ramps, mud brick, sand, and timber pulling sledges with ropes. Ancient drawings show workers wetting sand to reduce friction. Yet a straight ramp up to 150 meters would need to be at least 1.5 kilometers long, so massive it might rival the pyramid itself. That's why some propose ramps spiraling around the pyramid, and others suggest internal ramp systems. One famous proposal by the French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin argues for internal corridors used to move stones upward, an idea supported by mysterious voids detected inside the pyramid through muon scanning technology. The engineering is almost frighteningly precise. The base is level within about 2 centimeters across an area of roughly 50,000 square meters. Its sides align with the cardinal directions with an error of only a few arc minutes, more precise than many modern buildings. How? Without compasses? The Egyptians watched the stars, tracking a star's movement, plotting arcs, finding the midpoint to identify true north with stunning accuracy. Inside the pyramid are 3 main chambers: a lower chamber cut into bedrock, left unfinished for reasons unknown; a queen's chamber in the middle, likely not for a queen; and the king's chamber above, containing a red granite sarcophagus, empty today. We don't know if Khufu was ever buried there or whether tomb robbers emptied it centuries before recorded history. Above the king's chamber are 5 relieving chambers designed to distribute weight so the roof wouldn't collapse. Clever geometry, still working after 4,500 years. And then there's the Grand Gallery, 47 meters long, 8 meters high, its corbelled roof built so the stone supports itself without columns, pure structural elegance. Outside, the pyramid once looked entirely different. It was covered in polished white limestone casing from Tura, shining like a jewel in the sun. In the Middle Ages, much of that casing was stripped away to build mosques and buildings in Cairo. Only fragments remain near the base. For more than 3,800 years, the Great Pyramid was the tallest structure on Earth until the Lincoln Cathedral Tower rose in England around 1300 AD. Generations lived and died with the pyramid as the tallest thing they could imagine. Herodotus claimed the construction took 20 years and involved 100,000 workers. We now believe the number was far smaller, perhaps 20,000 to 30,000, because organization can replace raw numbers. Romans stood before it in shock. Napoleon did too, telling his soldiers that 40 centuries of history looked down upon them. And today, millions still come each year because the pyramid is not just stone, it's proof that vision plus coordination can bend reality. And now we leave Egypt. From Egypt's certainty, we step into Mesopotamia's mystery, because the second wonder may be the most debated of them all. In the heart of what is now Iraq, along the Euphrates, rose the legendary city of Babylon, Gate of the Gods, a capital of an empire stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. And according to ancient writers, somewhere inside Babylon stood terraces of green, rising like mountains, trees and plants from across the world growing in the middle of a dry plain, waterfalls spilling from above, a garden suspended in the sky, a paradise where nature shouldn't have existed. The traditional story says the gardens were built by Nebuchadnezzar II, the greatest king of Babylon, ruling from 605 to 562 BC. He built the Ishtar Gate and massive walls, and his fame echoes across history. The tale continues. Nebuchadnezzar married a princess from Media named Amytis, raised among mountains, forests, and rushing rivers. When she arrived in Babylon's flat, dusty landscape, her heart collapsed with homesickness. So the king, unable to watch her fade, attempted the impossible. He ordered his engineers to build her a green mountain in the desert. They stacked enormous terraces like a giant staircase. They sealed them with layers of reed, bitumen, and lead to prevent water leakage. Then they piled deep soil, deep enough for large trees. They imported plants from across the empire, fruit trees from the Levant, flowers from Persia, exotic species from distant lands. But the greatest challenge was water. How do you lift water 20 or 30 meters without electricity or modern pumps? The ancient descriptions speak of a clever lifting device, something like a screw mechanism, similar to what later became known as the Archimedes screw. Workers would rotate it day and night, raising water from the river to the highest terrace, letting it flow down through channels to irrigate everything. It's a beautiful story, love turning into engineering. But here's the problem. There is no direct Babylonian evidence. Nebuchadnezzar left many inscriptions boasting about his constructions. He described gates, temples, walls, palaces, yet never once mentioned hanging gardens. Also, there's no confirmed Babylonian record naming a wife called Amytis. And archaeological excavations at Babylon, especially by German archaeologist Robert Koldewey in the early 20th century, found the Ishtar Gate and major structures, but no definitive remains of a garden complex matching the legendary description. So, where did the story come from? The earliest written mention is linked to a Babylonian priest named Berossus, writing in Greek centuries after the period in question. His works are lost. We know them only through later writers quoting him, meaning the chain of evidence is fragile. Greek historians like Diodorus and Strabo also describe the gardens, but they wrote long after the supposed construction, and none claimed they personally saw them. And most suspiciously, Herodotus, who visited Babylon in the 5th century BC and wrote detailed descriptions of the city, never mentioned the gardens at all. In 2013, Oxford Assyriologist Stephanie Daly proposed a compelling alternative. The gardens were real, but not in Babylon. They may have been in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital near modern Mosul, built by King Sennacherib 704 to 681 BC. Sennacherib described constructing extraordinary gardens, calling them a wonder for all peoples. He built a massive aqueduct and canal system over long distances to bring water from the mountains, about 80 kilometers, matching the scale needed for such a project. Assyrian reliefs even show terraced gardens and waterworks. So perhaps later writers confused the locations, especially if Nineveh was later referred to as a New Babylon in some contexts, and the memory blurred with time. Is Daly's theory proven? Not fully, but it solves many puzzles. It explains why Babylon lacks evidence. It explains why Nebuchadnezzar didn't mention it. And it gives us real archaeological traces instead of pure legend. Whether the Hanging Gardens stood in Babylon, in Nineveh, or only in human imagination, the lesson remains. Sometimes love is the force that dares the impossible, and sometimes great beauty is born from harsh landscapes, because challenge creates invention. Now, from mystery back to certainty. In western Greece, on the Peloponnese Peninsula, there was a sacred sanctuary known as Olympia. Not a city in the usual sense, more like a holy ground where Greek tribes gathered every 4 years for the Olympic Games, the oldest athletic competition in history. At the heart of Olympia stood a great temple devoted to Zeus, king of the gods. The temple was built between 466 and 456 BC in the Doric style, 6 columns in the front, 13 along each side, marble, symmetry, power. But the true wonder wasn't the temple, it was what waited inside. The statue of Zeus was created by a man many considered the greatest sculptor of ancient Greece, Phidias. Phidias was born in Athens in the early 5th century BC and was close to Pericles, the statesman who shaped Athens into the cultural center of the Greek world. Phidias oversaw the construction of the Parthenon and created the enormous statue of Athena inside it, 11 meters tall, made of gold and ivory. But politics is a hungry beast. Pericles' enemies attacked Phidias. First, they accused him of stealing gold from the Athena statue, until Phidias proved the gold could be removed and weighed, and it was all there. So they accused him of arrogance. They claimed he carved his own image and Pericles onto the goddess's shield, an insult, a human signature placed too close to the divine. Phidias fled Athens, and fate opened a new door. The people of Elis, guardians of Olympia, invited him to create something even greater, a Zeus that would eclipse all others. Phidias accepted. He built a colossal chryselephantine statue, gold and ivory. Ivory plates formed the luminous skin. Gold sheets became hair, beard, and clothing, all mounted on a wooden core. The statue rose about 12.5 meters high. So large, ancient writers joked that if Zeus stood up, he would lift the roof. Imagine entering the temple. Dim light spills from the doorway and small roof openings. Then you see him, Zeus seated on a throne, face pale ivory, eyes fixed from above with impossible calm, a silver olive wreath on his head, a robe of hammered gold engraved with flowers and animals. In his right hand, a small statue of Nike, goddess of victory, symbol of the Olympic Games. In his left, a jeweled scepter topped by an eagle. The throne itself, cedar wood inlaid with gold, ivory, and precious stones, covered in mythic scenes. A pool of olive oil surrounded the base, reflecting the statue and protecting the ivory from cracking. Priests regularly anointed it, like caretakers preserving a living miracle. Visitors left stunned. Roman general Aemilius Paulus reportedly trembled, saying he felt as if he were in the presence of the god himself. Writers said sorrow could not survive in the heart of anyone who had truly seen Zeus at Olympia. Legends grew. One story claims that when Phidias finished the statue, he prayed for a sign of approval, and lightning struck the ground before it. Another claims the mad Emperor Caligula tried to move the statue to Rome, planning to replace Zeus's head with his own, but the statue laughed, terrifying the workers. Myths, perhaps, but they reveal something real. The statue lived in the imagination like a divine presence. For about 800 years it stood. Then, in 390 AD, Emperor Theodosius I ordered pagan temples closed as Christianity became the empire's official religion. The Olympic Games were banned in 393 AD. The temple was abandoned. What happened to Zeus after that is uncertain. Some sources say it was moved to Constantinople, displayed in a palace collection, then destroyed in a great fire in 475 AD. Others say it remained in Olympia and perished in a fire or earthquakes in the 5th and 6th centuries. The end is unclear, but the result is the same. The wonder vanished. Yet, in the 1950s, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary near the temple. A workshop filled with sculpting tools, ivory fragments, and molds. It matched the temple's inner dimensions. It was Phidias's workshop, and there they found a small cup with an inscription, "I belong to Phidias," a physical whisper from the hands that built a god. On the western coast of modern Turkey, ancient Ionia, stood Ephesus, a wealthy port city. At its heart rose a temple so magnificent that ancient writers claimed it outshone all other wonders, the Temple of Artemis. Funded by Croesus, king of Lydia, so rich his name became a proverb, the temple took generations. It stretched roughly 115 meters long, 55 meters wide, with 127 marble columns, each around 12 meters high. It wasn't just a shrine, it was a bank, an art gallery, a sanctuary for the hunted, an economic engine of the city. Then, one night, July 21, 356 BC, flame ate marble's shadow. A man named Herostratus set the temple on fire. He confessed his motive with chilling honesty. He wanted immortality. If he couldn't build something great, he would destroy something great, just so history would remember his name. Ephesus tried to erase him. They executed him, then banned anyone from speaking his name under penalty of death, a deliberate memory condemnation. But the ban failed. A historian recorded the name anyway, and Herostratus achieved the fame he craved, forever branded as a symbol of destructive vanity. The temple was rebuilt, even grander. Alexander the Great offered to pay for it, but Ephesus politely refused. It isn't fitting for a god to build a temple to another god. For centuries it stood again, until invasions, bans on pagan worship, and human hands dismantled it stone by stone. Today, only a single reconstructed column stands in a marshy field, one lonely spine of a once unimaginable giant. On Turkey's southwest coast, in ancient Caria, stood Halicarnassus, modern Bodrum. Its ruler, Mausolus, was a master politician and builder. He married his sister Artemisia II, a royal practice meant to keep power within bloodlines. When Mausolus died in 353 BC, Artemisia's grief became legend. Ancient writers claimed she mixed his ashes into water and drank them, wanting to become his living tomb. But her true act of immortality was architectural. She commissioned a tomb so magnificent that Mausolus's name became the word for all grand tombs forever after, mausoleum. The design fused cultures: a massive square base, a colonnaded Greek middle, and a stepped pyramidal roof. It rose roughly 54 meters, gleaming white marble, covered with sculpture, hundreds of statues, fierce reliefs of mythic battles. 4 of the greatest sculptors each worked on a different side, competing for beauty and fame. Artemisia died before it was finished, only 2 years later, but the artists completed it for honor and for art itself. The mausoleums survived empires, even Alexander's siege, for nearly 1600 years. Then medieval earthquakes weakened it, and Crusader knights dismantled it as a convenient marble quarry to build a fortress. Today, fragments lie scattered. Major finds sit in the British Museum, but the name remains everywhere. Every grand tomb on earth carries Mausolus's shadow. Rhodes sat like a key in the Aegean, trade between east and west. After Alexander died, his generals fought for control. Antigonus wanted Rhodes. Rhodes refused. So his son Demetrius, the city besieger, arrived in 305 BC with a massive army and siege machines. Most famously, the Heliopolis, a 40-meter siege tower armored in iron. Rhodes resisted with terrifying unity. Men, women, even enslaved people. Those who fought bravely were promised freedom and later received it. After a year, Demetrius withdrew, leaving behind enormous siege equipment too heavy to carry. Rhodes sold it for 300 talents of silver and chose to turn victory into a symbol, a colossal statue of Helios, god of the sun. They hired Charis of Lindos, a local sculptor. Construction began around 294 BC. They built a white marble base, then an iron skeleton like bones, then hammered bronze plates like skin. To work safely, they piled earth around the growing statue, raising the mound as the statue rose, then removed the earth at the end, revealing the giant. 12 years later, in 280 BC, the Colossus stood around 33 meters tall, about 50 meters including its base, larger than the Statue of Liberty without its pedestal. Contrary to medieval imagination, it likely did not stand straddling the harbor entrance. Engineering makes that unlikely. More likely it stood with feet closer together, perhaps holding a torch or shading its eyes, crowned with sun rays like on Rhodian coins. It became Rhodes' signature, bronze blazing under sunlight. Then, in 226 BC, an earthquake snapped it at the knees. The giant fell. Egypt's Ptolemy III offered to fund reconstruction, but Rhodes consulted Delphi's oracle, who warned that Helios was angry. They left it fallen. For 800 years, the broken Colossus still drew visitors. Roman writer Pliny the Elder said, even fallen, it was astonishing. Its thumb too large for most people to wrap their arms around. In 654 AD, after an Arab conquest, the bronze was sold to a merchant. Legend says it took 900 camels to carry it away. No physical trace remains. Yet the idea survived. The Statue of Liberty, torch at a harbor, echoes Rhodes, a modern symbol born from an ancient dream. On Egypt's northern coast, where the Mediterranean meets the Nile's delta, Alexander founded Alexandria in 331 BC. He wanted a Greek city on Egyptian soil, an intellectual and commercial bridge between worlds. He died before it was finished. His general Ptolemy I turned it into a global capital, building the library and the museum, and beginning an engineering masterpiece, a lighthouse. The Egyptian coast is flat. Ships couldn't see land until dangerously close. Hidden rocks waited beneath shallow waters. A lighthouse wasn't luxury, it was survival. Ptolemy I died before completion. His son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, finished the project, designed by an engineer named Sostratus of Chinos. The lighthouse rose on the island of Pharos, linked to the mainland by a long causeway, the Heptastadion. Built around 280 BC, it cost around 800 talents of silver. Its height is debated, but likely between 100 and 120 meters, making it one of the tallest structures in the ancient world, second only to the Great Pyramid. Its design was iconic, a massive square base with rooms and internal ramps to haul fuel, a middle octagonal section, a circular top where the fire burned. At night, a great flame blazed. Behind it, a concave bronze mirror amplified and directed the light. Some claimed it could be seen from over 50 miles away. Legends said it could burn enemy ships, probably exaggeration, but proof of awe. In daylight, the mirror could flash sunlight as a beacon. The lighthouse wasn't only functional, it was a monument. White limestone and marble, decorated edges, statues of sea gods like Triton, grand entranceways, viewing platforms. People visited it like a wonder tour, and vendors sold food on lower levels, an ancient version of a tourist attraction. Sostratus wanted credit, but only the king's name was allowed on state buildings. So he carved his own dedication to the savior gods into the stone, then covered it with plaster and wrote Ptolemy's name on the plaster. Over time, the plaster eroded. The truth appeared, a quiet victory for a man who refused to vanish. The lighthouse survived nearly 1,500 years, longer than most wonders. It was repaired after damage, even in the Islamic era. Traveler al-Idrisi described it in 1115 AD as still operating. But earthquakes kept coming. Major shocks in 956 and especially 1303 weakened it severely. Ibn Battuta visited in 1329 and could approach it. By his second visit in 1346, it had become a ruin. In the late 15th century, Mamluk Sultan Kite Bey built a fortress on the site using stones from the collapsed lighthouse. That fortress still stands today, Castle of Kite Bey, built from a wonder's bones. And then, in 1994, underwater archaeologist Jean-Yves Empereur's team found enormous blocks and statues on the seabed near Pharos, remains of the lighthouse that fell into the sea during collapse. Today, parts of the wonder still lie underwater, waiting in silence. And that is the end of our journey. 7 wonders, 7 rises, 7 falls, and 7 lessons carved into time.